G'day, I'm trying to tune in Ghost to Ghost AM. Halloween's over, but let's try to get another ghost story.
In Montana, a man confesses to killing a camper who was first reported as a bear attack victim. The sheriff in Gallatin County says that Darren Christopher Abbey confessed to the murder of Dustin Kjersem, who was found brutally murdered in his tent on October 12th. And crude oil prices rose.
He tried to say a bear killed that guy? Oh, Fox News.
Back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news. Fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new break you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it the most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to
Cheers,
work
Dad.
with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation.
Of course, is my dad's favorite beer. He's in Smokey and the Bandit.
800-499-5165. 800-499-5165.
Prosecutors charge a Native American actor with sexual abuse.
A grand jury in Clark County, Nevada, has indicted Nathan Chasinghorse for allegedly abusing indigenous women and girls. It's a 21-count indictment charging the actor with sexual assault, lewdness, kidnapping, and producing child sexual abuse materials.
God.
An earlier 18-count indictment against Chasinghorse was thrown out in September when the Nevada Supreme Court ruled prosecutors had abused the grand jury.
I wanted to hear scary stories, but this is something else.
The encounters were consensual and that none of his accusers were under the age of consent. Jack Callahan, Fox News.
A judge in Brazil hands down long prison sentences to two former police officers for the 2018 murder of Rio de Janeiro City Councilwoman Marielle Franco. One is sentenced to nearly 79 years, the other to almost 60. Many people who saw the attack on the black bisexual councilwoman as an attack on democracy worry the crime would go unpunished. Los Angeles County is suing PepsiCo and Coca-Cola over plastic pollution.
LA County alleges PepsiCo and Coca-Cola are contributing to pollution with their single-use plastic bottles and that they knowingly deceive customers into thinking the bottles are recyclable. The lawsuit calls for the companies to pay penalties, calling plastic pollution a public nuisance. The chair of the LA County Board of Supervisors is saying they need to stop the deception and take responsibility for the plastic pollution problems their products are causing. Collectively, Coca-Cola and PepsiCo own brands including Coke, Pepsi, Smart Water, Vitamin Water, and Gatorade. They previously denied making misleading statements, saying they're working toward environmental sustainability. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
A broad sell-off on Wall Street as earnings weigh on big tech stocks like Microsoft.
Isn't it like the consumer's responsibility to safely get rid of the plastic bottles? Unless they are recycling it, but it's not recycling? I don't know. Recycling's a scam, allegedly.
Into the 60s under mostly cloudy skies.
Mostly cloudy skies. That's what I want to hear.
From Tracker 8 forecaster Tyler Hall for News Radio 1140 WRVA and 96.1 FM.
Hey, it's Jeff Gantz. Just a few days before the election. What's the latest from Team Trump? We'll talk about it later today. News Radio WRVA.
Hey, Ann, what you doing with your phone? Taking
Nothing.
pictures?
No, I'm asking a question.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that. Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Bees.
Oh.
Some answers can only be found in nature.
But Mom, I'm allergic.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Yes. Coast to Coast AM. With George Norrie, I hope. Isn't this a great song? Midnight Express, I think. Giorgio Marudo. Could be copyrighted. Let's turn it down for a second. This is their Ghost to Ghost program, where it's a little scarier than usual. At least it has been in years gone by. Isn't that beautiful? On the airwaves, picking it
The
up.
heartland of America is a gateway to the West. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm George Norrie. This is Coast to Coast AM. Happy Halloween, everybody, and later tonight, Ghost to Ghost.
Ghost to
Here's
Ghost,
what's happening.
yes.
The United States has received information that indicates that right now there are 8,000 North Korean troops in Russia's Kursk region, according to the Deputy U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Robert Wood, telling us.
George Norrie sounds different.
Early in-person and mail-in ballots have begun pouring in across the country, and the tally in each state reveals mounting voter enthusiasm. Recent polling suggests a razor-thin margin in the race between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, and the results are expected to come down to each candidate's performance in 7 swing states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and North Carolina.
Oh, that's
We will
all.
have complete election results for you Tuesday night. Stay with us. Former President Trump is suing CBS News for $10 billion of damages, stating the network practiced deceptive conduct for the purpose of election interference in its interview with Vice President Kamala Harris.
$10 billion.
A company called Danone has initiated a recall for more than 10,000 bottles of International Delight coffee creamer for misbranding. The recall impacts the International Delight Home Alone Peppermint Mocha Zero Sugar Coffee Creamer
Mocha.
because it was labeled as zero sugar, but it does in fact contain sugar.
Oh no.
Food safety coach Jeff Nelkin with us here. Jeff, how serious is it if somebody who can't take sugar ingests it?
Well, again, if you're a diabetic,
George,
that's why FDA
you still there? Mayday? I think it was bouncing off the ionosphere, so that's how we're getting a USA station. I wanted to really hear about that International Delight coffee creamer claiming to have no sugar, but in fact having lots of sugar. Maybe they should sue them for $10 billion. What I'd really like to do is to try to tune in an even older broadcast. Before George Norrie hosted Coast to Coast AM, Art Bell was the king of late night. I bet I'll be able to find an old Ghost to Ghost. Maybe from the year 2000. In the year 2000. Here comes something. Oh, Bobby V.
that just met a party home from a party one night.
Okay, this is it.
And literally wound up in a graveyard. And it was a case where I got completely lost trying to go from Fort Worth to Dallas. She gave me the directions off the highway. We suddenly realized we were just near the Oklahoma border. And I knew right then that we were having a problem. She led me to this little town of Denton, Texas, which at the time I had no clue what that was.
So this guy has called up Art Bell back in 2000 with his ghost story. He's given a ride to this young lady, 17 years old, I think. He was 18 at the time. Blonde hair. Her name was Clarity. And they're in Texas. Let's pick up.
She said that she had lived there. I'd never met this girl before.
Denton,
Very
Texas.
nice girl that, the only thing I knew about her, she gave me the name of Clarity. That was the only thing I ever got from her.
Clarity.
Now, wait a minute. Back up a little bit, please. How did you encounter this girl?
Well, actually, what it was is I just moved down here, and a friend of mine from Alaska had moved down to Fort Worth. He invited me to a party. I was just turned 18. And basically, it was kind of like a male bonding with
maybe it was the alcohol, because at the time I sure wasn't, how you say, the James Bond of women at the time. But her name really intrigued me, and she finally said at the time, ironically, I was driving my mother's car, she was out of town. And she goes, well, I just need to ride home. And I thought, well, it sounds, pretty close to my little town of Grapevine. So I thought, no problem.
Grapevine.
It should only been about a 30-minute drive. Well, an hour and a half into it, after we're listening to the Eagles out long way home, and I'm suddenly realizing that I'm starting to see signs for Oklahoma. Maybe there might be a play problem here. Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, we're just talking, and next time I suddenly realized that, this is not okay. So she goes, well, she goes, I still live up here. So we wound up.
She said what?
She said that she used to live up in this little town called Denton.
Denton, Texas, yes.
And she said that if we got to Denton, she could lead me back to Grapevine. So I thought, okay, great. I have no clue. I've been living in Texas for 2 weeks. I just moved from Alaska, so you could tell that, from the little town of Anchorage to this was just an experience.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I had to get to this Denton, Texas, and she's like, oh, yeah, she's told me about her family and how everything is going, and I was starting to feel comfortable about this now. And she goes, okay, we need to go to this apartment complex. So we pull over to this apartment complex and stop, and I'm thinking, okay, everything's fine. She goes, well, let's get out. And I'm thinking, well, maybe we're going to somebody's house, like a phone call or something like that. And she leads me over this hill. Suddenly I realize I'm standing there looking at a graveyard.
You're in a graveyard.
A graveyard.
In Denton, Texas.
In Texas. And the first thing I noticed is...
With clarity.
With clarity. Yes, and the very, very still night. Texas still night. The kind of night there's no wind, no nothing, just still.
Blood still, they
Exactly. The silence has a sound. And anyways, we walked up to the graveyard, and I noticed on the entrance there's two big kind of like stone little entrances to the gate. One of them is completely knocked over. And we're talking a pretty good stone gate here, so you're thinking some force took this over. And just out of curiosity, I said, I wonder what happened there. She goes, well, actually, my truck hit that. And I went,
my truck hit?
That's what she said. And of course I went, excuse me? She went, yes. In fact, it was probably 2 years ago that we were on a wild joyride one night, and literally we came across the hill and bam, rammed into him. So I'm kind of looking at this thing going, oh, I can maybe see, like a wild Texas night with a couple, tall boys, maybe them hitting a graveyard. They always heard the adage about people going out to graveyards and doing the thing. Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, okay, but I'm still kind of feeling the effects from the vodka, so obviously the clarity in me hasn't come
well, you're probably thinking you're going to be doing your thing in the graveyard here in a minute.
Yeah, but also I'm at that point, too, where I'm
wishing and hoping, maybe.
Yeah, but it's also that kind of thing where you're going, I kind of want to, but kind of don't want to, because ambiance plays a big part in it, and that truly wasn't the ambiance I was looking for. And anyways, we start walking to the graveyard, and she's like, well, let me show you a couple mausoleums. And she goes, in fact, my family's name's here. No, they're kind of interested in that, so we walk over there, and as I'm kind of like standing around and starting to get that chilling feeling that, wait a minute, we really, I've lost the mood now, and I kind of want to leave.
Yeah, I hear that.
I look up, and I'm looking up in the sky, and I'm just thinking, yeah, what a beautiful full moon. I've always been attracted to full moons. And suddenly I see, and this is no lie, Mr. Bell, I see 7 literally white birds, doves, almost connected to each other by the wing, and they're just floating, literally flying. And at this point, I'm totally dead sober, because I've now just realized that, hey, I'm in a graveyard. I don't want to be
all
here.
of the alcohol just fell out of your system.
It's an amazing sober effect. It's almost like when the Christmas lights turn on and the cop pulls you over.
Yeah, that's right.
And at that moment, I had my moment of clarity. So I'm looking up, and I'm just trying to get my bearings, and I see the bird. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, this is beautiful. This is different. And in the back of me, suddenly I hear this voice, and she's going, and she's quoting Bible prophecy about the 7 white birds that we complete the full circle. And as I'm watching this and listening to this, I'm thinking to myself, this is interesting. And it just,
artbell's laugh.
The birds and everything was going perfectly. And finally, as she completes the prophecy, I'm just sitting there really numb in about, it must have been
Contagious.
about 5 seconds, but I'm like, how long? I turn around, she's gone. I'm like, okay.
Gone?
Let's not play fun here. You got me spooked out with the Bible prophecy thing. Where are you? I looked everywhere.
Clarity's gone.
I literally, not to say I did a hard target search, but I looked and called and screamed and everything. I literally stood in the hill and went, where are you? Clarity, where are you? I'm sure the cops were probably coming because it sounded like some Trump man screaming for clarity.
Oh, God.
So anyway, I'm like, what do I do? So I kind of get in the old, look at my road department, find a map of Texas, literally try to retrace myself back, go back. I'm thinking, well, maybe she just ran off to an apartment.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get home at this point.
Exactly, yeah. At this point, I'm thinking, well, at least she seems familiar with the area, so hopefully she either ran off and went, to a friend's house or something like that.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, okay, get back home. So to make a long story short, I'm one to kind of, I'm very inquisitive. So I'm like, well, I called up my friend. I said, curiosity, who was that girl, Clarity? He's like, he has no clue who I'm talking about. I'm like, well, the girl, she's like blonde hair, 17, 18 years old. She really wasn't with anybody. She's like,
Sure.
And I'm looking around, and I finally go up to the gas station in the Texaco in the corner, and I said, sir, this is just out of curiosity. I said, I'm dying to, I said, is there any, I met a girl here. I said, in fact, I left her at this graveyard, disappeared.
Yes.
This is really kind of getting me, strange. Is there somewhere, like a chamber of commerce or somewhere I can leave a note or something that says, hey, clarity if you ever have, that kind of thing,
Yes.
Just a shot in the dark.
Yep.
He looks at me and goes, well, actually, he goes, nobody really goes by that graveyard anymore since the girl died a couple years ago. And I swear to God, he tells me the story about this girl, and everything he tells me is almost verbatim what this girl's telling me that she went through.
Oh.
And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, it's literally like I took her home again. And that's what gave me the biggest chill, because as he was describing her, he told me, he was saying, oh yeah, it's this little town. It hadn't had many,
No, I think I've got pictures here.
yeah, and have someone die at a graveyard, that's kind of
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you. Good night. Clarity.
Clarity. Bend me, shape me. The American breed. Beautiful. That's why Art Bell was the king. What a great story. He gives this girl a ride home. It's your classic vanishing hitchhiker ghost story, but he met her at a party. So it's kind of like Resurrection Mary in that respect. And then instead of just dropping her off on the side of the road, they actually get to Denton, Texas, where she said, I grew up around here. And then they go to the graveyard, and then he sees like a damage to the front fence, and she says, oh, I crashed my truck there 2 years ago. That's where she died. And then the 7 doves fly overhead, and then he hears her quoting Bible prophecies behind her about the 7 white doves that will fulfill the prophecy. Terrifying. Let's see if we can find George Norrie now in the present day, 24 years after that one. Rest in peace, Art Bell.
In demonology, and I had never heard that term, and I went ahead and I said, what's demonology?
What's
He went ahead and
demonology?
started explaining it to me.
Wow,
and I said,
it's the ology of demons.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you,
And he
kid.
said, tell you what, pray about it, meditate on it, and get back to me before,
Go to a
week before
Zen
your
garden,
birthday.
see what that
That's your
teaches you about
birthday. I said,
demonology.
okay, I'll do that, and I did.
Yeah, I did.
And
Came back.
I really felt after prayer, much time, literally mulling over the concept of being a demonologist, that this was something for me. And I came back and I told him, and I said, I think this is for me. And he said, good, then that means this is your calling. And I asked him, why does this have to be a calling? And he said, because if it's not a calling, then you shouldn't be doing this at all, because it's very dangerous.
Right.
So
Right.
that's pretty much how I got introduced. So as soon as I turned, I think about a week and a half after I turned 18, that's when he started training me.
Young age. Now, is
Yeah.
a demonologist, Rich, like an exorcist?
No, a demonologist is
No, that's totally
predominantly
different.
known within the church as a person that is delves into the studies of demons, different types of demons and what they do, and how they interact with humans, everything from infestation, oppression, possession, and how to test for demons. They're basically the ones that assist pastors, priests, and clergymen, and women as well.
Friends, Roman
in
countrymen.
actually pinpointing whether a person has a demon around them or within them, and then we actually have to write a report and report back to the clergy and inform them that yes, clergy needs to come in and take over. Now, during the time that I was training through non-denominational Christian churches, they also taught me how to do not exorcisms, because exorcisms are actually reserved. That's a right that's been reserved for the Catholic faith for many hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
But as a demonologist for a non-denominational Christian church, they did teach me how to do liberation prayers, which is basically almost the same thing. It's the same act. It's the expulsion of demonic
Just
presence.
different name.
Who would generally give you the call, Rich, that they need your services?
Nowadays, everything from the church or through the Paranormal Clergy Institute. We get many emails requesting help. The Paranormal Clergy Institute was formed, I believe, 25 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, by one of my mentors, Bishop James Long. And he gave me ownership and also made me head director of the Paranormal Clergy Institute and had me take over. So we work with different walks of faith. We have not only Catholic priests, we have a Lutheran priest as well. We have
a rabbi.
We also have a Native American that works with us. He's a shaman.
Oh.
And what we have that's special, that stands out above the rest, is that we have many paranormal teams out there, hence the word paranormal clergy. And the reason that Bishop Long started the paranormal clergy so many years ago is because a lot of paranormal teams were actually getting a lot of friction whenever they found a case that may have something demonic and they turned to the church would turn them away. And Bishop Long, being the person that he is, he figured this is wrong, this should not be happening.
I don't think the church turns anyone away.
Pretty much been, taking over and had control over the Paranormal Clergy Institute since 2020.
Is there a difference between the wording of paranormal?
George, I know your voice is getting thinner. No. He's gone again. Well, he wanted to hear about the demonologist's adventures.
Demonology, that is a completely different genre altogether, because that in itself is more along the lines of theology. Hurt, yes. That's another story, but there was a case that happened, I'd say, 18 years ago.
Here we go.
I was called in at that time by the other church I was working for at the time, and this case was out in Okeechobee in Florida. And
Florida man.
I had already expressed to my pastor, informed the husband that your demonologist, Frank Black, is going to be going out. Now, I'll explain why. Because when you go into a situation like that, what I'm doing is testing.
Testing.
So you have to test the spirits, and you have to test and see if they know who you really are.
If they pass the test.
So when I arrived 2 weeks later to do my testing, he greeted me at the door. He really thought my name was
opened the
Frank
door.
Black. But of course, as you know, and everybody else listening knows, my name is Rich Valdez. And it was just like the scene from the movie poster from The Exorcist. I arrived. This house is out in the middle of nowhere.
You just said it was nothing like The Exorcist.
Got my briefcase, started walking to the house.
He has a briefcase, had my
a white picket fence. And I remember looking up, and there was a silhouette of a person.
Had my fedora on.
It was the bedroom window. And little did I know until I got there, it was his wife. And I'm not divulging names because we can't do to,
Yeah, protect the innocent.
And he greeted me at the door. He said, "Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Black." And he then proceeded to guide me up the stairs, and he introduced me to his wife. And I remember this specifically because this was the only time that I've really had my cage rattled, for lack of better words. And he introduced me, and then she looked right at me. But it was really the demon that was within her.
Scary.
And said, "Hello, Rich. Welcome." And I was like excuse me? You know, I didn't say that out loud. I'm thinking in my head, how does she know my name? Oh, it's not her. It's the demon. And I then proceeded to set things up, everything, all the testing I had to do, and it took about 35 minutes, give or take. And towards the end, she threw me for another loop, or should I say the demon did. Or demons in this situation. This is when I started realizing I was dealing with more than just one. And she said, or the demon said to her, well, we thank you so much for your time, Mr. Valdez. Okay, Mr. Valdez, thank you. And they responded back with, if you wish.
Rich, to get rid of the demon or just to identify it?
Both.
There have been times that I have assisted in deliverances, and there have been times I've had to do deliverances.
Knew it.
In fact, my girlfriend, I had to do a deliverance over her about, I think this was around 2018.
Did it?
And that's when, that's a in case of emergency break glass kind of
He
situation.
did a deliverance of his girlfriend?
We were doing a paranormal investigation at a location that I can't name right now.
Nope.
It was an abandoned commercial location, and
Toys R Us.
she got taken over. I call it an attempted possession, and I know what to look for. Having been that I've been doing this for going on 37 years, I had to remove her from everyone else and take the time to actually go through the motion and remove. Go ahead.
Stay with us. We're going to take a short break, but we'll come back and talk more. Rich Valdez with us. His website is linked up at coasttocoastam.com. And again, folks, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
The website is now streamlined for mobile devices. Great news if you're a Coast Insider or simply want to enjoy our website.
Become a Coast Insider. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. It's enough fun, I think. That was spooky. Which one did you like better, the demonologists or the cool ghost story about Clarity? Let me know in the comment section. And please don't sue me for $10 billion.